On this podcast, I was joined by my good friend Lee Ryan. For those who don't know Lee on a level deeper than what social media presents, just imagine a heart as big as his build, and the wisdom of someone who's experienced some of life's biggest hurdles. We touch on biohacking, which is something I've learnt abundances about from Lee. We also chat all things personal development and awareness, conquering drug addiction, and becoming a great partner and man through vulnerability and complete openness. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy. This is Raw with Ollie McNicol. Sweet. Thanks so much for doing this, man.
Yeah, easy.
Having us here. It's cool.
Yeah.
This was kind of inevitable, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it was going to be you and I at some point doing one of these. You were one of the first people that came to mind when this all began. Yeah. And everyone's been saying, when are you going to do one with Lee? Everyone who knows you and knows that we've had that sort of connection since we met. Cool. Like, come on, do one with Lee. Yeah. So here it is. The inevitable.
Yeah, I've had people pumping me like to do some type of podcast or YouTube stuff or something like it quite a bit over the years. So
I bet
it's always just been, I guess, that internal disbelief that people actually want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
Which is just my shit.
Yeah, 100%. I feel that. Because, and everyone knows that the stuff you put out on social media is so incredible and so helpful. It's helped me a huge amount with... You kind of brought biohacking to Adelaide, I think. That's the stuff that I've taken away from your content.
Yeah, thanks, bro.
Yeah.
It's nice to know I have influence and nice to have influence over nice people. So it's always sort of fills the love cup up a bit, eh?
Definitely. So for those who don't know more than just the big dude that's on social media and kind of ranting about things, let's hear it, man. Like, tell us what you're all about. And for those who don't know you, because I know you on a different level, and I know there's so much more to you. You're probably the most gentle man I've ever met. So tell everyone what you're all about and what you're doing, man, and what you stand for.
Yeah, it's funny because we were sort of just touching on this before about, like, you know, when we're talking about cutting your dreads off and, you know, like these things that we attach to us as identities and who we believe that makes us who we are. And like I had this big awakening, I guess, a year and a bit ago when I was just like, who am I? Like, it was just like, am I Lee Ryan, the tall guy from New Zealand that's always got a tan, that's always lean and wears a hat? Like, you know, and it's just, you sort of touched base on this earlier about like pitching me that question, and I was just like, fuck man, I don't really know how to answer that. Like, it's hard to not go straight into like a fob off and be negative about myself or like downplay myself or but I'm how I put myself into a sentence, I don't know. I'm generally not what people think I am off face value, but I'm just someone who's really hungry to grow, I guess, and have a real big desire to help people.
Yeah. And so as for the like identifying as something goes, and you know, you are the tall dude with the tan who wears a hat all the time, as we were talking about. So do you have like is it a positive sort of, have you made that a positive thing? Like, is that identity at all detrimental?
Well, when I looked into this identity, which I thought that I had to maintain, like I had this looking into why I do everything I do, like when I started looking in and finding why I did I guess the things in my life which didn't serve me, and why do I do the things that are like really habitual for me. And like, why do I feel like I have to be lean? And why do I feel like I have to be this big, wear this big mask? And like, that was a big thing. I realized it was just a mask. And that any way that I worded my reasoning behind training was for other people. It was like, this one line which I'd stuck onto for so many years was like, I like to be lean, I like to maintain something that not many people can do consistently all year round. And that's just a fancy way of polishing a turd, saying that, you know, I'm still doing it for other people, I'm doing it for what other people think. So like, I went through a period of like not training for 3 months to intentionally lose as much muscle as I could, to suffer and learn to know what it was like to disattach from that attachment of that part of my identity, because that's not who I am. Like, that's just something I've created for other people to think of who I want them to think I am, I guess. And then diving in that hole and climbing out of it and bringing like I always feel like, say, whenever I fall in a hole in life, it's like I've got to bring something up with me, like some like great lesson, and it makes it a hell of a lot easier when you fall in a hole now, when you start knowing that there is going to be something greater than the actual pain of falling in it in the first place. And
so what led you to delve into that? Like, because you realized that you were going about that identity real hard, so you pulled back from training. What made you realize you needed to pull back and just kind of reestablish what it is, you know, you are and what you stand for and what you're doing? And I guess, so how did you get to that point and realize?
Well, because it started getting harder to maintain. Like, it was I still felt like something I needed to do and needed to be perceived who I was, but the motivation wasn't as like, I went through a period for like 9 months, I think it was roughly 9 or 10 months, where I stayed below 6 or 7% body fat and lived off fish, broccoli, beans every meal. And I was happy to do that because I looked the way I wanted to look, and I felt good because I looked the way I wanted to look. But now, like, if you ask me to eat fish, broccoli and beans for every meal of the day, I'd fucking give you the bird away pretty quickly. It's like, it's not. And, you know, it was just harder to achieve what I felt like I needed to achieve and maintain. And so I had to look at why is that so important to me? Like, it's always the why, like why or what for? Like, you know, anytime you want to figure out why you want something or how you're going to do something, it's just like, you got to keep why, what for, and keep peeling back the answers until you get to the root reason. And all my reasons were for the wrong reasons. They were for, I guess, you know, when I started training, I was like the most insecure, like self-conscious dude, like walking. Like, you would never see me in shorts. I hated my feet. I hated my like upper body. Any like partner, like female partner I had in my early 20s, like, would never see me without a blanket, like below here. So it was just a band-aid virtually, like, just to try and cover up some underlying reason of like hating my body, I guess.
And where are you at now?
Pretty good place.
Yeah.
Yeah. After some pretty hard lessons, but like, I'm gonna choke up part in this podcast.
It's good, man. No, please feel open to.
Yeah, like, we were just speaking before about like that internal talk and what you say to yourself all day, every day. Like, most people, like the research is out, like 80% of our talk to ourselves is negative. Like, so virtually getting to that point where my decisions are made out of like love for myself, you know, not out of hate for the current self. You know, like, why do I want to look after my body, look better in my body? Am I doing it because I hate the way I look now and I don't feel lovable from other people? Like, am I not okay now, or do I just want to be a better version of myself for the future me? And it's like, I've spoken about it before, it's the same outcome, just different, you know, different push-pull factor. Like, it's okay to like be unhappy where you are, but as long as it's not hate that's pushing you towards a goal. It's like you've still got to anchor on something in front of you and pull yourself forward. And I'm old now, so it's like all older. So I've played some pretty hearty, gnarly, bad patterns and programs throughout my life, which I've seen cycle through too many times to ignore. So
yeah, and is that what opened the door for all the biohacking that you're all about, all that stuff? I
don't know. It's just I remember my mum saying this to me years ago. Like whenever I set my mind on something, like it's like I've got to conquer it. And she said to me, like when I was a gamer, like it was like I would play a game until I'd clocked it, like, you know, and on to the next one. And anything which interests me, like it would just, you know, I have to finish it. And when she brought this up, she's just like, Lee, you can't conquer this. Like, when does it end? I was like, why does it have to end? It's always, I just like 1% of things, 2% of things. Like, you can do that and that and that and that and that and that and that, and they might be 1-2% effective that you wouldn't notice on their own, but you combine them together and you've got like a big percentage. Like, and it's just fun, man. Like, it's a game.
Yeah. yeah. You've taught me so much in the way of biohacking, and you've made me realize that how much the 1%ers matter. Like I'll come to you and be like, man, I'm doing all of this right. I just can't get enough REM or enough deep sleep or something like that. And then, you know, I think I've tried everything. And then you give me one little thing. It's like I could probably add a little bit more of that in.
Yeah.
And it makes all the difference.
I went down that path for a long time, and then when I went into the coaching aspect of things, it was like this is my biggest downfall when I was there, was that I expected everyone, and this is another lesson I've had over the years, like, and I'll go back to that, but I expected everyone to have the love for it and the interest and the sense of like, this is why you have to do it, because it works. Like, you know, it's like I'm showing you here scientifically in the research, and I'm explaining it, and I'm seeing the pennies drop in your eyes, but then you go off and you don't do it. And like that was an expectation that I had, and any expectation, you're leading yourself over for an expectation hangover, like virtually. So, and it was just one of the biggest things that sort of pushed me into wanting to look inwards, because I had to understand why people have behavioural patterns and why people can't just do things for the right reasons. Like, you know, they know, like, this is on paper, like everyone knows they should drink water, everyone knows they should get 8 hours sleep, everyone knows they should walk, everyone knows they should eat healthy, and everyone knows you've only got one body to last you for the rest of your life. Like, why is that not enough information? So why do we do the things which sabotage our mental health and our physical health? And for me to understand that, I had to look at my own shit, and it was a lot more uncomfortable than what I first expected, and it still keeps getting more and more uncomfortable as I go, to be honest. Like, it's...
Is that why you came away from the coaching side of things? Because you realised there was stuff to figure out yourself too?
Too many... my system just wasn't right for people, to be honest. It was too complicated. I just realised that meal plans aren't the go for most people, and that asking people to hook up to heart rate monitors every morning and like doing all these little biohacky things that I love doing, just you know, people just can't manage to, like, not hit the snooze button is too hard for some people, let alone getting up and doing a cold shower and you know.
Yeah, are you still doing that every day?
Well, yeah, it's just the water's not very cold at the moment.
Yeah.
You're going to get like about 30 seconds with all the water that's in the pipes. Yeah. And I'm like all of my face and quickly get under it, and then when it starts warming up, I get out because I want that shock.
Yeah, I've been doing it pretty much every day since we were talking about it a while back. Practicing the Wim Hof breathing as well.
Yeah.
That's been really helpful. Just because there's that much focus you put into the breathing, and then it kind of takes everything away from that feeling of the water on the in your body. But it helps heaps. Have you tried or practiced the Wim Hof?
Yeah, I used to do it I used to did a lot of cryotherapy for a while. It was like one of my little mini addictions for a while.
Yeah.
And I would do it before I would go into cryotherapy, and I would sit there and I'd crouch and put my head right up in the back corner in the coldest spot, so my hypothalamus part of my brain was getting cold, and I'm sitting there and usually they ring out to you and ask you to like say that you're okay, but they ended up having to like get the picture because they couldn't see me because of all the fog, and I was down in there just like holding my breath.
Because they tell you not to put your head under, don't they?
Yeah, they were quite good for me. They ended up letting me go in there for longer, and then they would make it even colder sometimes.
That's cool.
Yeah, because they were cool people. They sort of they actually wanted me to do my consulting out of there.
Oh wow!
Because it was, I seem to know a bit more about cryotherapy than the people who owned it.
Yeah, wow. Yeah.
Well, just a little bit of factors on that side of it. So I think they wanted me around to help on that aspect of things. But it was tempting. It's definitely a cool thing to try if you haven't tried it.
Definitely, yeah. I still haven't.
Yeah.
I've tried a float, like a float tank for, a couple of months ago.
How'd
the
that
first
go?
time, that was unreal.
Yeah.
Really cool.
You feel pretty light when you come out, eh?
Yeah.
Just like, literally like the wind could just blow you away.
Yeah, light but really heavy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was interesting. I think I did doze off for a bit though.
Yeah.
Yeah. And because I don't know if it's the same everywhere, but they played the music for about 5 minutes as you get in, and then turn it on to tell you to get out as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, I fell asleep and then just woke up because the music was starting and getting louder because I was probably taking a while to get out. Yeah. But I don't like remember anything between.
Really?
Yeah.
I've never had that experience in there.
Mm.
Every experience has been completely different, to be honest. And they've all been significantly different.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. What was the first one like?
First one, I just focused on my breathing. I got down to 1 breath a minute. I just started like 5 seconds in, 5 seconds hold, 5 seconds out, 5 seconds hold, and I just slowly, as I got used to that, I'd bump it up another second until I got to 13 second in each part. And my resting heart rate dropped like 14 beats lower than what it had ever been after that. That was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
My most magical experience was in there, and I did the breathing, got like in sync with my heart, felt it, my head nice and calm. And I was like, what am I going to do? What am I going to do in this one? Like, 'cause it was always a bit challenging, and I was all right. I was like sort of anchored on this feeling of like love, like that like something that like made me feel like that feeling in my chest. And I was like, all right, fill my belly up with like love, like a dragon that's about to blow like this flame. I was like, and like blew it down to my feet. And I was like, I'm going to start and go my whole way up my body. I'm just going to send it. And I don't know if you've been like in a cold pool, and when you feel the jets like flowing past when you're next to it, that water feeling, I felt it around my feet, and I was like, hang on, is that for real? And then I was like, oh, I'll go to my calves. I was like, whoa. And I just like felt that feeling around my legs.
Oh, wow.
Got to my like quads, did it up, come to my groin area, did it to my midsection, felt nothing. I was like, okay, nothing. All right, go back to my legs, see if it still works. Yep, if it still works, go back to my midsection. About 5-6 breaths later, man, and it received it, and I just started bawling, bro. I was just like, because like my midsection's like, everyone's got their part of their body that they like hate, or it's the bit that they focus in on, and like that's mine. Like that's the bit that I'm generally the most unhappy with. And I was like, just like howling. I was like, God, I don't fucking know I can hear this, man. Like, same thing, went up, and then they got to my head. My head didn't want to receive it, and then when my head received it, same thing. It was like I hadn't even cried from it with my midsection, and I was just like, like sobbing, like someone had just mourning someone's death, man. I was just like, whoa. And I come out from that, and I was just like, fuck, that was so intense, man. Like,
wow, what were you thinking? Or was there any thoughts or anything, or was it just that emotion just bursting out?
Yeah, it was just, I don't know. It was just,
there was no one thing in particular.
It was uncanny that it was the two parts of my body that I'm like uncomfortable with, like my head and my midsection. Like, there's two things which I'm never sort of like, I look at myself, I'm like, so it was just, and that those were the two things that didn't want to receive my love.
Yeah. Do you experience that with breath work as well? Have you done much breath work?
I've done it 3 times. The first time sent me. Like, it was full visuals, and there was a big red dot with a single eye blinking with sparks. And
Your first time?
yeah. And then the second time, I actually had a good friend of mine right next to me, and they had like a big earth drum, like Indian earth drum playing. So we just wanted to get close to that. And, you know, I'm into it, and I'm starting to like see visuals, and my body's starting to disappear. And next thing I know, he starts like sobbing. Like, and I was just like, oh no, is my friend okay? Like, concerned. And then I sort of like opened my eyes a little bit, and then he had some of the facilitators next to him. And then he just kept going, and next thing I know, I was like, like I was like in sync, sobbing with him. And next thing I was laughing, and then I was crying, and then I was laughing, and then I was crying, and you know, it was, and then yeah, everyone's been different. Like there's just the first one when I come out of it, and I sat up, and then I was just like, and it was just like someone had just turned the taps on behind my eyes, and I was just like, what the fuck is this? Like, it's just people are looking at me, and there's just uncontrollable. It's like someone with little water pistols behind my eyes, man. I was just like, yeah, and just like lay back down, and just had like a bit of a little sob there.
Yeah,
but they say it's good for that. It's like a big emotional release, like pent up, like stored physical emotion. So
yeah, I think it's incredible. I think everyone should be doing it like at least once a year, like that, because you don't know.
Yeah.
And then because I did it with Brianna's mum, actually. She's a breathwork.
She was on my first one.
Yeah. Oh wow.
She was one of the facilitators at the first one I did.
Yeah, cool. So I did one with her, and a lot of my emotion is in my throat.
I know that one.
Yeah, so that was a big thing to experience. Yeah. And even work with Tom Clark, it was, you know, everything was still around my throat.
Do you still feel it there now?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. Mine used to be, like it would close over. Like I could barely breathe, man. Yeah.
Yeah, like feeling winded or something like that. That's what I experienced that as well. Yeah, that's crazy.
I've since sort of starting all this stuff, I don't have that anymore. I just fucking cry at the drop of a hat. I can just think about getting emotional and like tears start running down my face. So it's a much nicer feeling, like to not have it. Like I was so used to how I explain it. It's like this emotion tries to come up, and then it gets to there, and you're like, no, and just like jam it back down, and you're like. Like, and that's how it used to be. I'd be trying to talk to someone about something that just was really emotional for me, and then I'd just go and just pause and just like sit there until I'd like pushed it back down. I was like, and then I could carry on talking again. But now it's just I talk a bit freely. I start sobbing, like not sobbing. Tears come out of my eyes.
So there's no barriers anymore. Nothing's kind of keeping it down.
Nah.
That's like, really cool.
I had like Phoebe, my partner, went. It was the end of not last year, the year before. It was probably my biggest growth spurt, I guess. Like since I was a teenager in a way. But she went out of 9 weeks. She was gone for 6. So she did Peru Inca Trail, which was like 3.5 weeks. So when she was gone, I did a lot of work on myself because it was just me. And I just remember having all these moments, and I was just like, I've never cried, man. Like, I just can't cry. Like, this is annoying. Like, everything would bring it on, and then just get used to like pushing it back down, and I was like, all right, it's coming, and then I'm like, I was like, what the this is, and then it was just like opening a kennel to a dog and going, go, you're free, and the dog just sits there and looks at you. You know, it was just like, man, this is just so unsatisfying, because I hear about these people that have just massive emotional releases and just like howl. And I'm like, I want to howl. Like, let me howl. And it wouldn't let me. But
so when you feel that coming now, it can come out when just like that, or do you find that it sometimes takes a bit of?
There's still a little bit of suppression there. Like it's. I feel like I need to be, I guess, cuddling someone, like hugging someone. That's when you sort of like feel. But there's not many people I feel safe enough to do that with. It's only just recently happened with me and my partner. Yeah. Over something to do with, well, I don't really touch on that, but that was the first time. Like I wanted that. Like I wanted that for us for ages. Like to feel safe enough for us to be able to do that together.
Mm.
And yeah, that only happened a week or two ago, so it was
Wow.
it was pretty fun.
That's huge. Yeah. Since because you're both so, you like to be very aware of how you're feeling, and you go through all of these really cool practices. Do you do much of that together, or is it all still very individual in your time?
We converse. Like, she tells me I'm very grounding for her, because I believe I'm very good at offering different perceptions of ways of looking at things for other people. Like, that's I don't want to sound like toot my own horn, but I know that I feel like that's a skill of mine, and I can help her with that aspect of some things that when she has, a bit of a moment, I guess, a wow moment. But giving that she is my personal biggest trigger on this planet, and sometimes it's a little bit hard, because I love her to absolute pieces, but she is there's no but, actually. I love her to pieces. She has been my biggest life teacher, hands down. A lot of it, a big chunk of it, through very uncomfortable methods, through our relationship, ups and downs, and and then through my mistakes, and then also through really pleasant ones. Like, she's actually, because she's very good at finding opportunities for us, or for me, to grow. Like, as in, I would have never gone to a breathwork class if it wasn't for her. There's an amazing lady who I'm doing a course with next year, Julie Way, the one I've seen you this year. So I would have never found her if it wasn't for her. Like, all these things which she sort of displays in front of me. Like, she opens the door, I walk through it, but she's definitely hands down been my biggest life teacher. So some of the times when around the growth aspects conversations, it doesn't work as well, but a lot of the times it does. She's amazing.
Yeah. She is.
Yeah.
How long have you been together?
6 years in March.
Yeah, wow. 6 years.
Yeah, 6 years in March, and we were actually talking about this last night. She was like, 6 years. She's like, 6 years with you. And I was just like, 6 years with you, and you're still a C-bomb. Like, nah. But
that's awesome.
There was like I think it was about 2.5 months in the first couple of years where we parted ways for a little bit. But we just seemed to be like, as much as in the very beginning, and this is what she's opened me up for, in the beginning, like, I was very analytical, logical, like, my first two partners told me I was the most emotionless person they've ever met. And then I met Phoebe, and she's just like the first like woman I've ever cared about. And I'd never dealt with those feelings before. I was just like, and she was doing my head in, like, just brought out all this stuff I'd never actually ever had to deal with before, like emotions. And then when you're in your emotional state, you're reactive, like, you're not really, you're now running off past like experiences or childhood shit. Like, you're not thinking about what you're saying. Like, I would say something in a message, like, in a state of like being pissed off, and then I'd read it an hour later, and I'm like, who the fuck wrote that? Like, that's not really me. And I had to learn how to control that stuff to make the relationship work.
Yeah.
Because there was something about her which just was like a magnet, like, just kept sucking me back to her. Like, I remember writing a list of just going, why this relationship shouldn't work and why should it work, and the list of things why it shouldn't work was way longer. And I was just like, yep, decision's made. Went up, caught up with her, and I said, we're done, like, we're over, like, I can't, this is wrong. And then the next day I was like, like actually fucking crying. I was like, what the fuck? And I'm like trying to like kind of grovel back to her a little bit. I was like, I made a mistake. And she's like, you're fucked.
So how'd you get that back? How'd you get it back after that?
I don't know. It was a long time ago. We've gone through some shit.
Yeah. So who were you back then, as opposed to who you are now? Because 6 years is a long time to grow, and I've seen a lot in you since I've known you, and that's not all that long.
Oh, I don't know. I look back at those. I mean, I remember one of our conversations, and when we were in sauna one of those days, and I was just dumbfounded at the depth of the conversation you and me were having, and how young you were. And I'm like, I didn't know these type of conversations existed when I was your age. Like, it was when I first started seeing Phoebe. I was like mid to late 20s, and I just thought, what is what is. Like, I am who I am. Like, I didn't know there could be any possibility of changing that, or and I could also only see through that lens of what my mate explained this thing to me years ago when he told me he was the one that picked up that I had a grudge against my dad. Like, never spoke anything about him. I was friends with this guy for like 8 years, and he's just like, brother, can I ask you a question? I was like, yeah. He's like, do you hold a grudge against your dad by any chance? And I was like, yeah, man. Like, yeah. Like with passion, I was saying, yeah. But he told me about this guy was very, like, he's been also one of my first people that I could, I'll just explain this thing. It's called the Johari Window. So the Johari Window, if you think of like a 4-pane window, and the first pane is things about yourself that you can see that no one else can see. The second pane window is things about yourself that you can see and then everyone else can see. The third pane of the window is the things about yourself that you can't see, but other people can see. And then there's the fourth pane, which is like underlying traumas or the subconscious things about yourself that you can't see that no one can see. But the third pane of the window is a very hard one for people to like take on board, because anytime most people, depending on the person who's giving you the constructive criticism or insight to something you might not see, most of the time people are going to take their ego is going to fire up. They're going to get on their back foot and go, you instantly think everyone's a narcissist, and you're saying this to hurt me, and it's only benefiting you. Like, where if it's coming from a place of love, which is like when my mate explained this to me, and every time he would tell me something about myself, he would give me a big disclaimer. By the end of the conversation, I was like, you don't need to give me the disclaimers anymore, but because I know it's coming from a good place. But if you know it's coming from a good place, and a place of love from someone that you care about, which is him, and then Phoebe was the second person who was like able to spread light. Like, it's always uncomfortable to hear something about yourself that you don't know and that it doesn't really serve you, but to like be able to try not to react on that and walk away and actually like look at it. Was I forgot what I was going with that, but yeah, that was.
So where did you go with that from there? So he's said to you, or he's asked you, do you hold a grudge against your dad? Then what came from it?
Oh, he told me, like, we were just sitting in the car up the road, actually. Like, I was dropping him off, and we sitting in the car for like 6 hours just talking. And like, this is a good friend of mine who has been through some horrible trauma as a child and has tried to do a lot of work on himself. So he's someone's word I trusted very high lately when it comes to this sort of stuff. And he said to me, he goes, "You need to forgive him." And I was took me back. I was like, how do you forgive someone that's not forgivable? Like, and he goes, because it's going to make you sick, bro. And I couldn't grasp that. I was like, how do you forgive someone that's not forgivable? But from that conversation, like, I liked the idea of that. I liked the idea of like not feeling that every time I thought of him. So for 5.5 years it took me of like speaking to people whose opinion and word I respected, and like this concept, forgiving someone for myself, and they were like, yeah, definitely, like, spread some light on me, because like I can't get it, like it doesn't make sense. And it literally wasn't until I started looking at my behavioral patterns. Like I said, when I started diving into this shit, and honestly, it all really started from an Aubrey Marcus podcast that Phoebe sent me. Like she sent me, she's like, please listen to the first 15 minutes of this podcast.
Which one was that?
I can find it. I've listened to it again, and it's not as impactful as it was for me back then. But because I've got it saved. But it was just these guys talking about like trauma and childhood and like shit. Like I'd never heard guys speak like this, and I was like, wow. Like they're not talking like. I don't really know how to say this without being offensive. They weren't talking like they were like Nancy pussy, like little frail guys. They were like manly men which had succeeded, and I feel real bad for saying that, but like anyway.
Yeah, Aubrey has a way of getting deep and getting emotional, but make it seem like such a natural.
Yeah.
And just it's human. It's not male. It's not female.
Yeah.
It's it's human. And I know what you mean.
Like his really analogies and the way he like says his inner talk in situations. And you're like, that's just how I say it. Like, I posted it the other day and he was talking about the ego when someone pisses you off, and like you're like, how dare you? What did you say? Oh, I'll fucking show you, like, you motherfucker. And I'm like, every time I hear that in my head, like I'll be driving and there's like a group of like 20 cyclists in the left lane. I'm like, how dare you? And then I'm like, there's fucking 2 lanes, 3 lanes leave. Fucking just change lanes. And I'm like, fucking ego, fucking change lanes. But yeah, that just understand. He really, really opened the doors for me, man. Like he would be in my top 3 favorite people to want to meet. Like just like diving through his podcast. Yeah, I listened to every single one of his podcasts back to back after that. Yeah, it was just like counted from the top down, right to the beginning, and just heaps of lessons, man. Like I just, and then it wasn't that plus audiobooks, and then just like trying to look at my own shit, and then it wasn't until discovering this shit about childhood and like those first 5 years and how they sculpt you as a human, and that sort of poison from childhood, like say like that hurt you hold on to, leaks out in other forms in life. And like my dad was an alcoholic. I swore I'd never be anything like him, and I turned into a fucking drug addict. Like, so it was just and I didn't have a family to fucking take my shit out on like he did. So, and he also grew up in a generation of men didn't talk about their feelings. There was no podcasts, there was no Aubrey Marcus, there was no like audiobooks, there was no internet, there was no Google. Like, so he had to just fucking try and hold that beach ball underwater as best as he could. And when he couldn't, like, he did what he did. And yeah, it was just like, I remember I was up the road training, man. I was like doing heavy shoulder press, and the penny dropped, man. Like the penny dropped. I was just instantly, all the strength went out of my body, and I was like, oh, just like 40 kilo dumbbells. I was just like throwing them, trying to like hide the fact that I was like crying and running to the toilet, and, like run and messaging my mate. I was like, I've got it, I understand. And he was just like, ring me up. Yeah.
And then is that when you decided to give him a call?
No, that was about 6 months ago. Like, that was enough for me for a long time. And then it wasn't, I think I might have spoken to maybe Phoebe's dad, and the story he told me about him and his dad, and then hearing other people in podcasts speak about not getting to say they forgive them to the people that hurt them before they died. And I was like, my dad's on borrowed time, man. Like he hasn't looked after himself. So, and it was just like, it was on my to-do list. And then I told myself I'll get it done by the end of the year. And it was just got to New Year's Eve. I was like, phew, it's about like Sagittarius last minute. Like, yeah. And it was just, I haven't really heard much from him. I sort of gave him my understanding of just virtually what I've sort of spoken about, plus a hell of a lot more of why. Because the first thing he said to me was, I asked him, I was like, I'm going to give you the mic. Like, have you got anything you want to say? And he's just like, I just kind of want to know what I did wrong. And I was just like, took a breath, composed myself, because I'd prepared for that answer. Like, obviously, because, you know, just unaware, man. Like, you know, I don't believe he's a bad person. I just believe he just was born into a family that, by mum that didn't want him. She was a prick of a South African woman, and he got punished for being a child, virtually, in a, you know, generation which is probably harder than mine. So, you know, that sort of stuff just leaks out in your life later in life. And like, I mean, I know he loved me. So there's one memory I do know that I felt that. A lot of the other ones weren't very pleasant, but I know that for a fact. So, you know, and I always sort of thought if I knew he could, if he got offered a blue red pill by Morpheus, like, you know, blue pill, you be a successful dad, you know, good husband, and, you know, or red pill, you be an abusive piece of shit alcoholic. Like, I'm sure he's not going to go, ooh, red's my favorite color. Like, so
yeah,
and it was just, yeah. It was good. It was good. Like, I like, now, this is probably the most emotional I've got speaking about it for a while. But
I appreciate it, man.
but like, it's nice. It's a light feeling for me now. Like, that emotion would have used to been anger and hate and different, same sort of like facial expressions and like stuff. But now I just feel sorry for him, man. Like, it's just, he's lived a shitty life, and he's missed out on having a pretty cool family. So, like, he suffered enough.
Yeah, it's a huge thing for people to remember, that no matter, you know, how someone might be from the outside, they've done the absolute best they can with the, you know, their environment and what they've been around, and you know, we have no right to say shit about anyone.
Nah,
because
that was a big one. Like, you were saying just earlier about who was I back 6 years ago, and like, Phoebe broke up with me at one stage because she's like, you were so negative and judgmental. She's like, I can't handle being around you. Your energy is just too much. And I was like, what do you mean? Like, this one stuck with me, man. And this was a big learning. We were driving down Hindley Street, and there was this guy walking, had like slacks on, kind of a little bit high with a sock showing, big winkle picker leather shoes and a vest. And I was like, fuck, that guy looks stupid. And she was like, why do you have to say that? And I'm like, what do you mean? He looks stupid. Like, and she was like, why do you have to be so fucking negative? And I'm like, he looks stupid. You know, like, I couldn't fathom like what she was saying to me, man. Like, I just couldn't. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, stupid. Like, it looks stupid. Like, you know, but that's my own opinion. It's just, and my own judgment. And like, now, you know, I didn't know why, but after that, I really tried to stop pulling myself up. I started pulling myself up on stuff like that. Every time I think it or say it, I'm like, shut up, Lee.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't know why, but I knew that like it was something that I needed to work on, because this stage, I really had a lot of faith in Phoebe's word. Like, I still do have a lot of faith in Phoebe's word. Like, you know, as much as she fucking does my head in, like, a lot of the time, but she's steered me in a lot of right paths, you know. So, and it's like, you know, I now understand it, like, why, you know, because exactly like you see, you don't, who am I to judge anyone what they fucking wear?
Yeah.
And two, like, I don't know anyone's story, man. Like,
yeah, isn't it crazy that it's everywhere around us? Like, everyone is judging everyone. Yeah.
I don't think you can help it, man, to be honest. Like, you get faster at catching it. Like, you get faster, but it's impossible, man. Like, our culture has made us like it. You can get real quick at it, but it's just like it's always, your subconscious is faster than your conscious mind, man. Like, your brain is interpreting like 20,000 bytes of information per second, but your brain can only process 130. Like, so it has to journalize, distort, delete, and then you've got your conscious brain, or your subconscious brain is like 20 million times better at processing information than your conscious brain. Which is like, if you're in a car accident and you're like, oh shit, you don't go brake, swerve, quick. Like, you're not. It's not a conscious decision. You react. So it's like, you can strengthen your conscious brain, which is like why I believe meditation is a good thing, because it's like a muscle, man. You can grow it, which means you get faster at catching your subconscious mind. So you start to be able to maybe react or maybe feel that emotion from the erection, but you don't react. You respond to the erection.
Yeah,
You know,
the erection.
The erection. Yeah. You respond to it.
Yeah. So what's your meditation process at the moment? What are you doing for meditation?
I'm pretty basic, man. I just use the Sam Harris one. He seems to, his cues seem to be the most efficient for me, where I can get into a conscious state like within like 5 seconds. And then I have to be 100% transparent. Like, I like the Joe Dispenza ones. They're a bit, like, you know, the smallest ones are like 26, 27 minutes. And doing a Sam Harris one, like regularly, like consistently, makes doing a Joe Dispenza one really easy, because you can get, you know, the cues, how to focus on your breathing, how to keep your head clear, and then you get into a good meditation really quickly. But
So you're only doing guided now?
Yep. Oh, I do in the sauna if I'm by myself, which is pretty regular. I will do like by myself in there, so I will sit there and focus on my breath and keep my head clear for as long as possible. And I usually get to about just under 20 minutes, because it's usually when the heat starts to really get to me. But I don't really do a lot of unguided ones.
Yeah, you just find that's what works best for you.
Yeah, I think you can do little forms of meditation all day anyway. Like I most of the time I walk around throughout the day counting my breaths in and out. It's just like a habit. I'm just like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. It's like it was a gift to me after having surgery on my throat to be able to breathe through my nose again. So it's just like,
yeah, man. Let's go there, because you have sleep apnea, don't you? So explain to us, like, what is sleep apnea? What kind of brought it on for you? Tell us about that, because before I met you, I didn't know much about it either.
Well,
how long have you had it?
I believe it's just got worse as I got heavier with weight training, because my neck has got too much muscle in it that's not supposed to be there. And I think when you sleep, obviously when you've got an autopilot, you know, muscles that stay on, that do their thing when you're in your sleep, but then I've got the muscles that aren't supposed to be there, that relax with like every other muscle, and my just throat closes off. But I literally only discovered it so I could sleep in the same bed as Phoebe. Like, we spent the first almost 2 years of relationship never being able to sleep in the same bed, and that killed me. Like, it was really a real burden on our relationship. So I went into an ear, nose and throat specialist, and sort of Googled the sleep apnea symptoms, and I just said that I had them all, so he would give me the surgery, and they cut heaps of the back of my throat out, and then thought it was all fixed. Went through that insanely painful recovery, and then started trying to sleep in the same bed with Phoebe. She was just like, oh, it's not that you don't snore anymore now, it's just like you start choking and like toss around. And so I went and had a sleep test, and yeah, it's like I stopped breathing 41 times an hour on average. So it was pretty, in the severe cases, oxygen drops down to like 55 to 60%, which is like, if you're in the hospital, the alarms would be going off and people would be running to your rooms.
Wow. So
you got constantly going through these cycles of you stop breathing, your resting heart rate goes down, you go back to sleep, and then you stop breathing, and your heart rate spikes back up to like 120, and drops back down. So you never have periods of low cortisol, low blood sugar, like, because cortisol spikes blood sugar. Which in the long run, virtually you're super prone to get dementia, diabetes, Alzheimer's. It's an early grave, and it's unbelievably common, man. Like, it's, if you're like, I had my first Australian girlfriend, Phoebe was my second. My first Australian girlfriend found my snoring relaxing because it made her feel safe because she knew I was there. Phoebe couldn't be more at the opposite end of the spectrum. It's like she's tuned to noises I make. She's like, which has been a blessing for me, because I literally, like, I've crashed my car countless times from falling asleep at the wheel, and like, I've fallen asleep. You were talking about modafinil earlier. Like, my doctor used to prescribe it for me because I was borderline narcoleptic. Like, if I sat down, I'd just drop off. Like,
Wow.
The lady in the sleep apnea test, she says, like, I don't know how you function. Like, you're one of the worst I've seen. I was like, I just don't sit down.
Yeah.
Like, if I sit down, I'll fall asleep. So it's just go to work, fall asleep lunchtime eating, get home, go to the gym, train, come home, get my meal prep done, go to bed, and just. But you never woke up feeling refreshed.
Never.
Nah. The longer I slept, the worse I felt. That was a pretty big, I guess, what do you call it? Insight to know that there was something going on. Like, you know, if I sleep 6 hours, but if I sleep 8 hours, I felt worse than if I slept 6 hours. And it's unbelievably common. Like, I can show you after this, man. I've got like screenshots from like 3 guys in the last week, which I've been pushing to get tests, and they've just come back and they've just all come in with severe cases of sleep apnea.
Wow.
2 guys that one guy I work with, and one guy was an old client, and yeah, terrible, man. And they just, you know, one had a heart issue 2 years ago, and that was about when I was trying to get him to get the test, and it was just. But I also know how hard it is when you're tired to get anything fucking done outside surviving.
Yeah.
Like, I'm now if I don't sleep without my mask, it's literally worse than being on a bender. Like, it's I just feel like I've been hit by a bus, man. You just wake up just having pools of sweat, feeling like you've got anxiety, and just like just wake up. My resting heart rate, if I'm sleeping good's about 60. If I wake up and have been having apneas, it's about 89.
Wow.
Yeah, and it stays there for the whole next day. My resting heart rate stays high for the whole next day.
Really?
Yeah. So it's.
How is it now?
Today is 64.
Yeah.
I'll start doing some more cardio.
I think you do enough. That's your daily thing, is it? What do you do for cardio in the morning?
I haven't done it this week just because I've just been back at work, so it's been hard enough getting back to that. But usually it's like aerobic capacity style fitness, so it's you get your heart rate up to 130, between 130 and 150, and then you just cruise, and that actually makes the left ventricle of your heart bigger, so your heart pulls blood and pumps. So pulls, pumps, and it makes your pump bigger and more efficient. So it means you don't have to pump as many times for how much you pull. So it makes your heart rate, it just means your blood pressure goes down and your resting heart rate goes down, because I used to have horrific blood pressure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you track all that now with your...
Yeah. I sort of know it's in a good place all the time now, but it's kind of a nice, like, pat on the head for myself every time I sort of, each morning when I check my blood pressure, I'm like, because one stage it was 198 over 98. It's for anyone that doesn't know, like, that is fucking high, man. Like, I'd sit there holding my phone and it was like I was in a rocking chair.
Wow. Yeah. And that's all due to the sleep apnea?
Sleep apnea, and then, well, if you look at all the boxes for... the boxes that get ticked for sleep apnea, like I tick just about every one. Too heavy, no cardio, sleep apnea, and then past drug addiction. So, you know, the drugs don't help. Yeah. Yeah, shit. Because your heart's always in a state of stress. So.
Yeah. Do you want to go there, man? Like,
if you want
to go there?
If you want, man. Like, I'm like, yeah.
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 So when did the drugs, the addiction begin due to that childhood trauma and the stuff that you were experiencing at a young age? Like, when did it all start?
Well, I think it would be best to clarify on what drug it is first, because that makes it
good idea.
That makes it a bit because if you know, you know. Then you know, you probably won't need to understand. But if you don't, then I'll help try. But like I was on what I guess is the most nastiest one of them all, which is like New Zealand, it's called P. Over here, it's called ice. I call it gear. Some people call it meth. Sucking on the devil's dick, like the devil's dandruff, like all the bad names. But it started in New Zealand before I moved over here, and it wasn't so much an addiction over there. It was something that I hated actually to begin with, because all my friends started on it, and I was like a big drinker. I was like, and then all of a sudden, all my friends that like to drink were just sitting in a dining room around a table with the curtains drawn, like with straws and a light globe. And I was like, fuck, you guys are boring, man. Like, I'm going somewhere else. And then I just happened to become really good friends with one of the biggest dealers in town. And because I wasn't interested in it, we become really good friends because he's not no longer a dealer now. He's a religious man married with children. Like, I'm still one of the best people I know. Like, the exact same person when he's a dealer to he's now. Like, he's dealt with all the, he's seen psychologists to help him with all the, you know, the I guess the guilt and shame that come with that lifestyle for a while. But slowly it just eased its way into my life, and then I come over here. I replaced it with gym. You know, you give up one addiction, you replace it with another one, unless you deal with the reason why you're addicted. And I eventually ended up finding it over here, and it wasn't until I was established, I guess, a little bit in the fitness industry, and it was a very shameful thing for me, man. Like, it's still, like, we'll go into it, but like, it's got such a horrible stigma around it that it was something that I did recreationally with friends this is before me and Phoebe, like just around events or maybe a little before we went out here and there when we were drinking. And then it went into moments where I would just do it by myself. And then it was always very secretive because it was so much shame attached to it. Like, because I believe it doesn't represent me as a person of who I actually am. Like, it's just something that just weaseled its way in the back door every now and then. It would catch me off guard, and then I'd make that split decision and it would be happening. And then there's a physiological response when you make the decision, just like, ooh, it's like excitement, like to the T. Like, and it's, once that decision's made, it's on. And then, yeah, there was I got better and better at like keeping it at bay for a long time, but it was an ongoing battle. Like, things would trigger it, and I'd get that feeling, and then I'm like, I'm like, what's it going to take away from me, from my life, and all this sort of stuff. But every now and then it would sneak in and just fucking get me, and it would happen, no one would know. I would deal with the aftermath of coming up, like from when I'd stopped taking it, and then I would always say to myself, like, never again. Like, I'm not going through that again. And like, for a long time, I was really good because like I would journal through the shitty parts and just write letters to myself in the future of like, remember this, cunt, like, because this is so fucking hard. Like, I can be on the highest high of my life and just be enjoying everything, and then and it wasn't until like I would be 100% transparent, like it bit me again. How long ago was it? Like 4 or 5 months ago, maybe. And it almost cost me everything, like almost, and massive lessons in it because it takes away part of your soul, like how I describe it. Like, you can be yourself. I could be on it, you wouldn't know, but I could be emotionally disconnected from myself. Like, I could lie to you and not worry about lying. Like, I wouldn't feel the guilt of shame from that lie until way further down the track when you're on it. And it snuck its way in. I made this one decision, had it, and then I fucking left it out. Phoebe found it, and she was just like, "Have you got anything you want to tell me?" I was just like, "No." And like that combined with lying, like, almost cost me everything. So it was just massive lesson in that. And so I got to finally, like, the cat was out of the bag, and I got to relinquish a lot of shame around it, because it was like I'd never felt like I could feel safe enough to talk to her about it, because it didn't, like, you know, this got out and everyone, like, you know, how would that discredit me as a person? Like, because I do all this work on myself and try and like stay fit and healthy, and then I'm a fucking meth smoker. Like, what the fuck? Like, those things don't go hand in hand, you know. And like I'm sure there's still people that like, and you've got the people who have said, if you know, you know, but if you don't know, you judge. Anything you don't understand, you judge. You can't help it, because it's like, if you were to say someone who just can't stop eating fucking ice cream for whatever reason, you just be like, if you don't have a problem with eating ice cream, you just stop eating it. But it's just like, I can't, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, so, and there's a lot of, and then you've got that combined with people that don't understand it, plus the stigma around it because of what it does to people and what it makes people do. Like, it's just, there's so much fear around talking to anyone about it, because like, I know people don't understand it. Like, only a drug user would understand the clause and how they sink into. And so I had to like when all this happened, I had to like, as slow as it were, man. Like I went from feeling literally the best I've ever felt, like physically, mentally, like on path to where I want to be, to making that mistake, to as well as losing. I feel like as well as just feeling like an absolute piece of shit physically from doing it, emotionally, like, and then combine that with like almost losing my like one of my best friends, and then my partner, and then all of a sudden just like my world was just gone. Like all the beliefs that I had for my future was gone. I was just like, and just I had to, like trying to stay out of the victim mentality. I'm like, oh, poor me, like, and go, I'm here for a reason. Like, what is this teaching me? Why this is happening for me? This is happening for me. And like, and I would have like this big lesson come to me, and I'm like, oh yeah, like I can feel good. But then I'm like, no, you can fucking feel shit. You feel shit. You just fucked over your girlfriend, and you lied, and you're a piece of shit. And like, and then I'm like, oh, back down here, and then I'm like, find another inside. And like, I felt guilty for feeling good about the things that I was learning. So it was just this fucking roller coaster, man. And then I'm like, why am I doing it? And like, I have all these reasons why I believe that I've done it, but it is literally like an anchor that I use to stop myself progressing in life. Like it's this thing I can be, and I can, how I'll justify it, like, oh, just, you know, the money's not too bad, and then, but what it does to me emotionally, mentally, physically, every part of my being, it just pulls the handbrake up on me. And then it's like, oh, so it's like I can be doing really, really, really well, and then I've just got this governor, like it goes, hits it, and then it pushes me back down. I'm just constantly, I haven't been able to break through, and that's just one of the ways I've sabotaged myself over the years. Yeah. And man, like, this is where I'm like super grateful for Phoebe, because she's, you know, a lot of people wouldn't put up with that shit. Like, and then from what I've learned from that is that how much I lie. And I'm not talking about like sinister, devious lies. I'm just like little white lies here and there. Like, do you want to come to dinner, Lee? And I'm like, nah, man, I've got to catch up with my mum. But like, really, I just can't be fucked. But if I was authentic enough, I should just go like, sorry, man, I'm just too tired. I can't come. And that should be enough. But like, you make up some excuse to try and justify you saving someone's feelings. You know, it's like, it's always truth. Like, truth is love. Fear is lies. Like, you know, so you and every lie you tell, white lie, or don't disclose the truth or whatever, it's out of some type of fear. And like, fear is always a lie. Like, everything that changes your decision and it's based on fear is a lie that you tell yourself. And I would lie to myself to tell me it was okay to tell lies. Like, I would make a lie to justify my lie, like, you know, that. So I'm like, oh yeah, it makes sense, like, you know, and like, so I just polish these things up to make them sing. I was like, oh, it's not a lie. I'm just like, don't want to hurt that person's feelings. Like that lesson, and then just it shook the snow globe with mine and Phoebe and Maya's relationship, and like, I feel like we're better off for it now, which I'm super grateful for her, because she's, you know, she's sort of stuck through it. Yeah, I don't know.
That's incredible to have come out of such a deep and dark cave.
I'm literally to the point now, and I haven't said it yet because it scares me to say it. Like, but I'm gonna make the decision to never do it again soon. And it's, you know, I don't like. There's only certain people I'll say that to, because, you know, like I said, if you don't understand it, and I tell you this concept of saying that I'm never going to do it again, they're like, yeah, fuck it, just don't do it. Like, why would you want to do it? And I'm like, because you don't understand. Like, because every time I say, I'll think about making that decision, my brain goes into, oh, how can we sneak away with one more time? You know, how can I just get away with it one more time? And I have to let that plan run its whole way through, let that physiological response run its whole way through, get to the end, know that I can get away with it, and then go, no. That's not what I want. That's not like, that's, and it's, we go back to that the love thing. Like, if I loved myself, that's what that guy, love yourself like your life depends on it. If you don't love yourself, at least ask yourself, if I loved myself, what would I do? You know,
That's huge.
and that's, as much as there's some part of my unconscious mind that like enjoys doing drugs, it fucking kills me, man. Like it literally physically kills me. Like I know I've done irreversible damage to my heart from years of like on and off like substance abuse. And it's in that there alone, like I remember being in bed months ago, and like I said this concept to Phoebe, I was like, look, I've done damage to my heart that I can't undo. That's gonna knock years off my life, and I still want that shit. And that made me choke up massively, man. I was just like, couldn't understand it, man.
So now you're able to get to the point where you realize, yeah, I could get away with doing it again, but then you're able to ask yourself, is that something I want to be able to get away with?
Nah, well, I'm so sick of holding myself back, bro. Like it's that's only one of the ways I've done it. Like, you know, held myself back, but it's a pretty good all-rounder, like triple-edged sword. Like it can screw my financial situation up, it can screw my physical situation. Like as soon as I start to be really happy with my body, I can do that, screw my financial situation, and hold myself back from pursuing like bigger and better things in my future when it comes to career or growth, or, you know, not going to a course that I miss out on going, like to better like my knowledge, or, you know, it's just but at the time you've just got these little excuses, like, you know, like, oh, like I can afford that, and you know, like that might have taken you a little while to save that up, and then that could be the money that you need to go to that course, but like in that time and point you choose not to see that shit. And like I fucking feel so sorry for people that are stuck in it, man. Like, because I believe I'm a strong person, and I believe I've got a lot going for me, and it's hard for me to get out of it, stay out of that shit, man. Like, and I'm happy this decision is coming, because I know once I make that decision, the battle won't be there anymore. You know, like I can just, you know, I'm like, why would I do that? Like I'm looking forward to saying it, man. Like it's so close, man. I've been so on the tip of my tongue so many times in the last like week or so, and because I just know that, you know, I have to make a decision mainly out of love for myself, but like there is an aspect of my love for Phoebe, and then I don't want to lose her. So, you know, I don't like making decisions out of fear, but like I'm scared that if I fucked up, it would lose her as well. So, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Do you, for people who are in the midst of that, you know that I've told you all about my brother and his experiences and stuff with that. Is there a point you can get to when it's too far gone? Do you believe with people?
No. It's just people just need to be treated. I think it's the same as like the prison system. Like you get treated like you're so, like unlovable, man. Like people, because it's like I tried to explain, you lose this part of your like empathetic brain almost when you're on it. Like it numbs you. You can be. Some people can be the same people that like will come across as the same person, but it numbs parts of you, and usually it's the same feeling. It's like numbing. That's not the part you want to numb. It's something else that you're trying to numb. Like as in, you know, same as why people do anything that alters their brain state, because they're trying to escape something in their head. Like it's not many people know that there's a recorder of voices playing in the background from their subconscious mind. Like you're just walking along, listening to this recording. Playing, and that's affecting your emotions and how you perceive the life. And it's just until you start like doing this sort of stuff, you don't really understand it. There's a full conversation going in your head, man, and like that conversation, speaking to yourself, completely alters how you see the world. Like it's part of one of the 5 interpretations of things which alter what we actually see. Like, you know, your visual, hearing, touch, smell, feel. And then what you say to your head actually changes as well. Like if you say negative things and you think negative thoughts, you're only going to see negative people on the street. If you think love and you think thing, you see the most beautiful things on the street. Like we can walk down the same street and I'm like, what did you see, Ollie? And you'll tell me, and I'm like, I didn't see that, I saw this. You know, same things, like same interpretation, but it's just like that generalization, distortion, deleting what's going in your head, unless you're sort of working on that chatter and like what you're saying to yourself and seeing things in the right perception, you're only going to focus on the negative things because you've got negative thoughts. So it's, I think with people that need it's so hard, man. Honestly, as I was saying, it's got such a bad stigma around it, and not many people really feel safe enough to talk to anyone about it because no one understands it unless you've been a fucking user yourself. So, and it's hard to find someone who's been clean off it, bro. Like, I only know two people that like, and I spoke to them recently, and they both like didn't say anything. And it was funny because I spoke about the decision. I didn't say anything about that to them, but I asked them. I said, "How did you get off it?" Like, and they said, "I just fucking made a decision, man, that I can't do it anymore." And I was just like, "Wow, like that's it. Like that's." And it takes a strong person to get there, but like you have to have the desire to get there too. And it's such a complicated thing, man. Like it's said that the claws dig their ways into people in so many different ways. Like it's honestly something in the future that I would love to be able to like get involved in and help people and just be someone safe that even now like be someone to, if they wanted to start the process to get off it, or even involved in the future. It was definitely something that I would really want to.
I think you're doing that right now.
Yeah, because it's just, I don't know, man. It's just like even just talking about it. It's so complex, but it sounds so simple to someone who doesn't do it, you know? Because it's, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know if I answered your question there.
That was perfect. I don't know what I asked you.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Is there a start to that process with someone who's so deep into it?
The desire has to be there. That's the starting process, though. And it's like most of the time, I think if you spoke to someone that was on it, like I don't know, I think it's just almost case dependent in a way, but the desire has to be there. And that can be really hard for some people that don't, I guess, have a reason to. But I believe, I mean, like I said, I'm on the tail end of this stuff myself, so I don't know if I can give the clearest answer, like, because it's just been a battle for years for me, and it's not like I don't feel it's like it's a constant on my mind, like I'm not all day, every day thinking about it, but it just pop in, and I'm like, fuck off, like, you know, every now and then it just pops in, I'm like, no, and it's just when it's popped into my head in the, like, you know, previous years where I just haven't been ready for that situation, and it's just happened like that because it's everywhere, bro. It's everywhere here in Australia. It's like the meth capital of Australia. It's disgusting.
Did you get to the point where you lost like all your friends and family because they were just like couldn't handle who you were becoming?
No one knew, bro. No one knew.
So you kept everything.
Yeah.
How? Because, I mean, from what I've seen, so my brother is very much like what it sounds like your friend was like. So he was an incredible painter. He paints houses and stuff.
Is an incredible painter.
Sorry?
Still is.
Yeah. And he has so much intelligence. He is like, I mean, all through high school, he was the most charming dude. Like, he could literally get anyone. Everyone wanted to be mates with him. Everyone wanted to be him. He was good at everything he did. And now, because he is deep into it, I don't know. I don't really have contact with him. Even when I have tried, he just tells me to fuck off. Because apparently I've done everything wrong by him as well. But yeah, so no one can be around him anymore. No one can work with him.
Yeah.
So he can't get work.
Yeah.
So people can't stand being around it. You can't have a conversation with him at all.
Yeah. I wouldn't. I don't believe anyone's too far gone, man. Unless you like get schizophrenia or something. Like, but it's not a pretty road, and the people have to want it too. And that's this gayest thing. I shouldn't say that word, but the dumbest thing about it is that everyone's on their own journey, man. And as painful it is, like all you can do is be there for them when they want you to be there. Like I've learned that lesson with like my little sister and stuff, like trying to get her to stop smoking. Like all it does is fucking push her away when I fucking give a shit about it. Like there's a way to approach things, and there's probably a way that you can like leave a door open like in a conversation. Like I've had to do it with my sister's partner when they went through some shit, and then I looked at it like, I was like, you hurt my sister, like, and she chose to forgive him, but I still chose to hold on to that grudge, like, because me and him had to like go at each other. And then it got to the point where I was just like, why am I like creating this emotional divide between my sister and her family, her sister and her partner, for my own shit? Like that, she's forgiven him. Like, why am I still holding on to something? So like I reached out and I was like, look, I wanna mend things. I wanna put shit behind us for like my sister's sake. And he was just like, nah, not interested. And I was just like, like I prepared. Like every time I go into the same with my dad, like I went into that situation prepared for every reaction I didn't want, so I could I was ready for it, and I was ready for that. And I was like, well, and he goes, went on for a little bit, and I said, well, look, today, bro, the offer is there. It's never going to expire. I'm always like keen to sort this out. And then like less than 6 months later, he sent me a message saying, you keen to catch up? I was like, yeah. And he just spent our first Christmas out at my mum's with us, and it was fucking awesome. Like, not being the only guy there and being able to fucking joke around with him again because he's a fucking good guy. And he done the same thing, done some shitty shit, man. But like, we're human. Like, nothing generally is intentionally out to fucking hurt other people. It's just everyone perceives it like that, and that's been another lesson I've learnt with Phoebe. Like, they're very, I can take her reactions or to certain situations as you're trying to fucking hurt me. Like, like my love language, I've like gone through quite a few relationship books, and my love language is time. Like, I'm like a little child. I want to be patted on the head, and I want you to tell me that you love spending time with me. And I don't care about gifts. I don't care about being told that I'm pretty. I don't care about any of these sort of like the other ones. But I want attention. I don't want a lot of it, but like the attention you give me, like I need it to be mine. Like I need to know that you are giving that, and that just fills my love tank up, man. I'm just like, when I feel like she actually wants to spend time with me, I'm just right as rain, man. But then, if she's distant in a conversation on her phone while I'm speaking, and doesn't necessarily tell me like, hey, look, I'm busy on my phone, can I just give me 10 minutes and I'll be all yours? She just pretends to listen to me, and like I'm just sitting there talking to a wall. I just instantly I don't internally say this, but it feels like, I was like, you don't love me, sort of thing. And it triggers me, and then I react, and next thing you know, we just got a fucking reactional shitstorm going on for a little while until one of us goes, hang on, like, we don't want this. And yeah.
So what's her love language?
Hers is acts of service and words of affirmation. I figured it out, hers out before I actually read the book, to be honest. Yeah, that was through some, because like I grew up in a house with not a lot of money, and so, and I've always had a job, so like I like to give, and so I would, anytime I would see something for like the first part of like first year's of a relationship, I would see something and I'm like, oh, Phoebe needs that, like, and I'd buy it, and she was always appreciative, but I didn't feel the appreciation like it was like, oh my God, like, and I was quite aware of that, but then I did notice the times when I would like, if I set the coffee machine water up and I put the coffee thing clean there and like leave little notes and just get things ready for her, so when she come down, and like she would send me a picture going, oh my God, like, and like, then I'm like, I figured out that's how she receives love, like, just doing little things, or, and I think there's just relationships are just, if you're not with someone that doesn't challenge you and push you into uncomfortable positions, like emotionally and mentally, like it's not necessarily the like greatest person for you. Like I think that's what my belief is, because I've had to go through this roller coaster of having this person which just makes me feel like sometimes like the worst emotions I've ever felt ever. Like she's the only thing on this planet that can give me anxiety. But, you know, I like when we went through this wobbly bit in the last year, I had to look and I was just, two perceptions. I was like, this woman does my head in, she makes my life really hard mentally and emotionally, and I was like, but, and then and it's all perception. What do I want to choose to perceive? And I was like, I just fucking love her, man. Like she's just a good fucking egg.
Yeah, I think I have the similar love language to her. Mine is definitely acts of what was it?
Acts of
service.
service.
Acts of service. Yeah. And words of affirmation as well.
Yeah.
You
like to be told you're pretty.
I think so. Yeah. But Brianna's is quality time.
Yeah.
And I think the other one was words of affirmation as well.
Yeah.
But we are very different, very, very different. Like I really value the time on my own, and when I am in that alone time, I don't want to have anything to do with anyone else, and so I get a bit sort of frustrated when she's wanting to, you know, have that affection and you know, touching and stuff, and I find it really uncomfortable, and I'm just like, oh, leave me alone. I just want to be on my own. But so you've gone through that stuff with Phoebe as well?
I mean, that's just a communication thing. Like, you know, if you learn how to communicate it in a way where she understands you as a person, like, and it's all about needs. Like, there's an amazing book called Nonviolent Communication. So, and it's anytime there's conflict, it's always about someone's needs not getting met. You know, like it's not about what you've done, it's about what I need out of a situation. So as soon as you start pointing the finger going, you doing this, or you shouldn't do this, or I don't need you to do this, as soon as you start going, you are now going to get reactive. Like you'll feel emotion from that, and you'll start reacting, and reacting is not where you're not actually consciously thinking about what you're saying, which probably was going to make me something where I'm going to react. Where if you go like, look, I'm an introvert, I need my time to recharge my batteries. Like, and then if you can give me that, I would love to give you what you need. And then what you know what she needs. She needs affection. She needs time. She needs all those like cuddling, like the things that are her love language. And as soon as, you know, she can understand that. Like my one was like with Phoebe, we agreed to go no phones after 8:00 at some stage, like a year and a bit ago. And we've gone on and off this couple of times. It depends on what her life is rolling, but. No phones at 8:00. It sort of it was a bit of both of our ideas, but I feel like I might have been the one that planted the seed, because like I'm a bit more anti-phone than what she is. And then, you know, this is where my mind, because I always like to explain things in a story. Like, so my story is that Phoebe is super structured, super punctual, and super organized in everything in aspect of her life. Yet she wanted flexibility around the 8:00. You know, we'll get to 8:20. I'm like, you know, how do I bring something like 8:15, 8:20? You're going to turn your phone off? She's like, oh, can you just give me some flexibility, like, around this? And in my mind, I'm like, why am I so unimportant? Like, why, like, you know, and rather than me, like, I didn't know how to approach her for a long time. And then rather than going, you know, you, I'm like, I need the person I love more than anyone to spend time with me and connect with me. And, like, I'm not saying anything she's done wrong. I'm just saying what I need. And, like, she can't react to that other than be like, okay, I want to give you what you need, you know, that, because it feels good to give someone something. Like, giving is almost as selfish as it is selfless, you know, because it makes you feel amazing when you give something to someone. Sometimes you like give it, you're like, oh yeah, fuck it. And so when you start turning it into the communication around to like needs being met, rather than opposed to like firing new friendly missiles like you. It just, and especially if you know what the other person's love language is. Like, there's a combination of all these like sort of books that just gel together really well. Like, because expressing what you need. I'll just give another example because I've only got ones that I remember of that, like in the past, but like Phoebe said, she goes, are you messaging other girls? And my parents broke up when I was 5. I had a massive issue around trust. My first girlfriend wasn't until I was 25. I found it really hard to trust people. But I'm a real trustworthy person. So you got this bellows curve. So you question my trustworthiness and I'm going to bite like a shark. But she wasn't actually questioning whether I was messaging other girls. She just wanted me to tell her, like, oh, don't be silly, babe. I fucking love you. Like, you're the only girl for me. She wanted validation. Like, she wanted me to reaffirm my love for her. But I took it as in, you're questioning my trustworthiness. And I'm like, at the end of it, I was like, what was I supposed to say then? She's supposed to go, don't be silly, babe. And like, at the time, I'm like, that's retarded. But like, since learning all this stuff, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like, but it's also, it could be a lot clearer than that. Like, it could be her just going, I need you to tell me how much you love me and cuddle me and fucking give me some affection right now. Like, and this is where humans are stupid, because we're scared to ask for what we need. So we try and disguise it as something else. And it ends up just being a shitstorm, because you don't know how that person's going to react. In your eyes, it might seem the right best way to go about it. But if there's a trigger, an old like mine is around trust, because I said this to my dad when I spoke to him last year. I said, one of my first memories is the day my parents told me they were going to split up. Like, it's so clear to me, man. Like, I was traumatic, bro. I was just crying like so hard. Like, when you're a kid, you're like, like hyperventilating. And I remember my mum's jumper, the pattern of like the wool, the necklace she was wearing, her hair, the paint peeling on the windowsill, the curtains, the pattern on the couch. Like, I remember it all. And I was 5. So the 2 people that I trusted more than anyone in this world tore that trust apart. Like, these are my gods, the people that like I hold to the highest respect, and you've just torn trust apart. And so I went through a whole life just not being able to trust people. And every time I didn't trust someone or I felt unsafe, I made the situation worse. Like, I'd push people away. I'd do something to make the situation worse. And I've learned that throughout my relationship with Phoebe too. Like, as soon as I feel unsafe in the relationship, I start making it worse. Yeah.
Aubrey Marcus makes he puts a whole different spin on that sort of communication side of relationships, and especially sexually, it's a really difficult conversation to have.
Oh yeah.
Talking about the things that you want and that maybe you don't want.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love how he puts it into perspective, where it's just like very light, and and I think you're really good at expressing it in a way that it's like these conversations are natural and you're meant to have them.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, the sex side of things, I don't know if Phoebe will be happy with me going into this, but like, the sex side of things is something where we're getting better at it, but we haven't been the best at communicating around that arena. Because I think if you've got someone that's super confident sexually and another person who's not confident, you put them together, that one person will draw, because they've got that communication like line open, because they're not. But then you've got 2 people who are just have fear around communication around it, and you put them in the same room, it can sometimes be awkward, like, because you just don't know how to. And then not most people, I'm just going to say some people, like, I mean, let's just say, like, I don't know how deep I can go with this, but like, most people don't know how to ask for the basic things, like what they want, how they like to be touched, how fast they like it, how hard they want it, like whatever, when it comes to the sex. But if you don't know how to even ask for that, how are you supposed to ask for what you really, really want? Like the deepest, darkest, dirtiest stuff. Like, if you don't even know how to communicate that. And I actually spoke to one of my good friends about this a week ago, and he told me his advice from his dad when he asked him about sex. He's like, Dad, I want to be the man in the bedroom. He's like, got any tips for me? And he's just like, just talk to them. Just talk to them. Just keep talking. Ask them what they want. Ask them what they like. And I was just like, that is the best advice you would ever give, man. Because I've even spoken to there's a sex therapist who had a consult thing with her, and that's almost the key to everything, man. Because if you don't know what the other person, like, if they're not telling you, you might be thinking you're fucking King Kong and owning the bedroom, but really they're just going, God, this guy sucks. And that's always been like, you know, a fear of mine. Is just like I felt like I was super confident, like in. Oh, actually, I'll tell this. I'll tell
Please
this.
do. Yeah.
Okay. Before my relationship with Phoebe, like I didn't really have it. I was pretty confident in my skill set. In the bedroom, wasn't super confident. I wasn't like confident in myself, but I felt like I could get the job done. And then when I first started seeing Phoebe, because I genuinely, like before her, I said I'm not going to start seeing another girl until I can actually see a future, because I don't want to start anything where I have to end it, like, and go through that, like, of hurting. So I don't want to hurt anyone, like someone that might want to carry on and then me not want to. So started seeing Phoebe, and I was like, I can't. Usually it's like I can't see a future, but this time I couldn't not see a future. I couldn't see a future, but I couldn't, you know, it wasn't a cold, clean cut case of like me not being able to see a future. So it was going out, and she asked, because she was out of a like not too long out of a long-term relationship, and she's like, out of respect, like, do you mind if we wait? And I'm like, in my mind, I'm just like, no, wait, like I don't care if we like wait as long as you want, because like I'm like there's a possibility that I'm in this for the long haul, so like it's going to come eventually. And then when we went to have sex for the first time, it was all like hot and heavy, and I'm all like in it, and then she stopped me and she goes, Lee, like, I need to know, is this going to change anything? And I was so deeply concerned about her believing that I was authentic and that it wasn't going to change. My mood changed, which means old mate went away. And then she's like, all right, okay, let's go. And I'm like, then just like instant panic and like, you know, performance anxiety, man. Like that, it was just like, and then that haunted me for like fucking ages, man. Like, I'm just like, it would be where I'd just be like, we'd be like, sometimes it would come and sometimes it wouldn't, but then we'd be like hooking up, and then she'd be like, and it would happen. And my head up, as soon as I thought, God, I hope it doesn't happen, it would happen. And she could see it in my face. She's like, it's happened, hasn't it? I was like, yeah. I'm so sorry. And it was just, man, it was just she ended up being the one that sort of got us over the line with it, but like, it's still like, it's it was just, and then you start this like long-term relationship on that note, like, you know, like not going into it being like this big lustful thing. You start into it being like a guy that likes, you know, is 50-50, flip the coin if he's going to be able to keep it hard or not. Like,
yeah. This is awesome. This is going to be so good. For real though, like the amount of stuff that you say, and people look up to you. So
that's because I'm 6'6".
Yeah. But literally, like, it's to hear you saying all this stuff is going to mean a lot to a lot of people
that can't get erections. Right? No.
That's right. Yeah. No, but the influence you have and the reach that you have through your, you know, your social media and whatnot, it's going to impact a lot of lives. I'm so stoked to be a part of it, man. I'm really excited and proud to be the one to kind of put it out there.
Pop my cherry.
Yeah.
Well, like, it's honestly, man, like even when you started doing podcasts, I was like, God, I fucking hope you asked me. Like, and even like just the name of it, like, you know, it was like, I'm all about getting it raw. Like, it's uncomfortable conversations getting easier. Like, you know, it's real funny, man. Like, I find, especially with guys, like, I'm very quick to be the first person to show vulnerability now. Like, and it's very, like, 9 times out of 10, it's reciprocated. Like, as soon as you show it, it's like you're giving the other person permission. And it's just, it's funny how, like, we're all humans, man. We've all got very, very similar, like, I guess, mental dramas going on. Like, you know, you can look at anyone on the street. I mean, Phoebe and me had this conversation a month or two back, and she walks around and she sometimes looks at people and she's like, oh man, that person looks like they got their shit together. And I'm like, fucking no one has got their shit together, man. Like, no one, especially the people that look like they do. Like,
yeah, that's so true.
Like, I had he was like a life coach. Older guy come into AFPC, and just met him, and I had this real brief conversation with him. And he goes, I bet you a lot of people like would look at you and go, you probably got your shit together, because you presented well, you look like you definitely know what you're doing training wise, and you're disciplined, and you look like you got your shit together. And he's just like, I don't reckon you do. And I was just like, nah, man. Like, nah, not at all. Like, I'm walking in the dark at the moment. I feel like I still am. Like, I'm trying to find my place, I guess, my niche to do, because it's hard when you know a little bit about a lot of things.
Yeah, that's you, right? Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, you know a lot about a lot of things. A lot compared to what everyone else knows here in Adelaide, especially.
Well, I think everyone knows a lot about what they know a lot about. There's not really one person that knows a lot more than, I could talk to someone who doesn't know anything about what I'm talking about, but I'm sure if I gave them the time, they'd have a lot to say too about whatever they know a lot about. It's just varies in what people find interesting, and
Yeah, I totally agree. That's probably the biggest reason why I'm doing this, because I believe everyone has something to say.
Yeah.
That we may never hear otherwise.
Yeah, man.
Like how I was talking about everything kind of being in my throat when I would do that breath work and meditation and all that. That was how I've seen that is feeling as though I don't have a voice for so long.
Phoebe's gone through the same thing, similar.
Yeah.
The throat chakra's all blocked up.
Yeah.
Childhood shit.
Yeah, and I don't want anyone else to feel stuck like that, because I'm no genius, and I also feel as though I know a very small amount about a lot of things just because I love to
expand.
Expand. But I know I have stuff to say,
100%, man.
And I'm so glad I see that now. But
I wouldn't like speaking to you as much as I do if you didn't have anything to say.
Yeah. I think the thing I'm most proud of is the fact that people can open up to me. That's always been something. Like through high school, I was the guy that everyone came to with stuff. I meet someone once and they might break down and tell me their whole life story, and they'll be like, I can't believe I just did that.
I feel like you like kind of ooze empathy. It's just like this very, like if I caught up to, do you know Reno? Yeah, so I spoke to him today, and we I touched, because he goes, who did the podcast with? I was Ollie. He's like, Ollie that used to have the dreads. He's like, identity, but I was just like, and he goes, oh fuck, he's a nice ass guy. And I was just like, yeah, man. And I was like, he's so nice. I was like, I reckon he's that nice that like you could make him cry really easily. Like just say something mean to you, like why, But I can't imagine anyone saying anything mean to you or about you. Like you don't really say anything to step on anyone's toes, or everything you say is just authentic and honest, and it's like real beautiful. I noticed that when I first met you, I gave you a compliment on like your physique and being vegan, because I never really met anyone which was into it and like trained as hard, and you were like, man, fucking thanks. And I was just like, I feel that. Like I feel like the gratitude for like the compliment. I was just like,
I remember that moment, like walking into AFPC for the first time ever, and then stumbling across you, and ever seen you on Instagram and stuff. Then you're giving me a compliment. I'm like looking up to you. I'm like, it blew my mind. But yeah, that was so.
I find that so like even like with this is just you and me talking, and I kind of know other people will listen to it, but when you like social media, like it's. You don't like whenever I put something up, I don't actually ever think that anyone's watching it, man. Like I don't really, very rarely I look at the amount of people that watch my story, because if anything that just makes me feel shit about myself. I just choose not to look at it. Like I'm like, whoever looks at it, good on them. Like, and if I put something really long up, I'm like, man, if someone gets into that, like I commend them, because there's not one person I've ever watched a story that goes for like 20 of those little things at the top of the screen.
I get so excited when I see that in yours. That's why I messaged you. I was like, dude, please put more out.
But like I got hammered by that IFBB pro for making the mistake about like starchy carbs turning back into resistant starch.
That was brutal, yeah.
Yeah, he went to town on me, and I'm just like, it just. I know that there wasn't really any harmful information in it, but I also know when I put it out, when I said it, I was like, oh, as I was saying, I was like, oh, I fucked that up. I was like, oh shit, and I could hear Phoebe upstairs, like getting ready, and I was like, oh, I don't have time to remake this video, so like I just put it up, and I'm like, it was conscious, but it was. Yeah, I didn't see it was harmful information, and but I got fucking hammered, man.
Yeah.
And I just didn't. I've been real hesitant ever since then. No, I just sort of put other stuff up, nothing to do with. I don't know. I'll get back to it.
Yeah, good. You should, because I've learned so much from you, even about my own dietary lifestyle. The amount of book recommendations and all that.
Yeah. Oh, I love good book porn. Eh?
Yeah, absolutely.
I've got that book for you over there too.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah.
What are you reading at the moment?
Honestly, I've been trying to finish the same book for a long time. I haven't. Monday's usually my day reading, and I forgot it last Monday. I was all prepared up, like fasting, took my fatty coffee, and I'm like, right, I'm gonna hammer out at least an hour and a half. Did everything, took all this like good fish oil, and like it was just like so trying to get my brain fired up as much as I could. And I got to work, and I was like, I forgot the book.
Oh no!
But it's a book on rewriting your belief systems. And I'm finding it really challenging because it is sinking in so much that my like subconscious like ego feels it, and it's like, no, you're not changing me. Like, and I'm like reading it, I'm like, this is making sense, and then I'm like, oh, what's my phone? I was like, no, back to it. Like, and it's just it's crazy. I feel it. I feel the tug of war between my two brains, man.
Wow.
And it's full of gold, man. Like, I've never had my highlighter out so much in a book. Eh? It's good. The guy, he's got some good YouTube videos. I'll send some to you. Gary
awesome.
Van Vanderhorn or something.
Yeah.
Good stuff on relationships. Good stuff on just understanding how the mind ticks.
Yeah. Awesome. Is that the one you were talking about in the store the other day when you came in about belief systems? You said something that really kind of struck a nerve. You said about how this might be completely unrelated to the book, but with childhood traumas and how sometimes a trauma is just a bad memory. So because, we when we think about it now, look back at when we were younger, it might have just been a bad memory.
Yeah.
And we tell ourselves it was just a bad memory. I'm
Yeah.
older now, I can, it means nothing. But if it was
something.
a memory that wasn't good, it was a trauma.
Yeah.
And that was like, whoa.
Well, every memory is only saved because it's an attachment to an emotion. So, like, everything you remember, there's an emotion attached to it. There's a good emotion or a bad emotion. If there's a bad emotion, it's in those younger years, it's generally pretty significant why you remember it. Mm-hmm. And it's just hard because when you're looking at it through adults' eyes, you're like, but as a kid who's trying to learn how the world works, like, that shit means heaps, man. Or you don't know what it means, and it has some, underlying downstream leaking effect into your life in the future. Like, I don't understand all my. If we've got time, I'll tell you this other one. Like, I had years of because I've had a job since I was 7. Like, I've always sort of be able to pay for like what I wanted. Like, I've had to pay for it.
What were you doing at 7?
Paper run, circular run.
Yeah.
So, I mean, my mum, she's like one of my biggest inspirations, man. Like, what she sort of persevered through once she left my dad, and what she achieved is just like phenomenal. Like, she's a fucking legend. But there was this. I've always had this. Like when I would go out younger, partying, or if you ever insinuated I was a sponge or I leached or like I didn't pay my own way, like when I stopped smoking weed when I was a teenager because I went and got an apprenticeship because I couldn't afford it, even though I shouted my friends for years, they were like, oh, we've got you. And I'm like, nah, like, if I can't afford it, I'm not doing it. Mm-hmm. And like, I would always, pre-drinks for music festivals, I'd always buy abundance, more than what I need so I can share. And never looked at it, but like if you said like, oh, I always shout you, I'd be like, fuck, no way, like, I'd buy it like a shark. And then one time, Phoebe, like, it was funny because it was all over $1.30 bottle of soap, and she goes, oh, next time you're at the supermarket, can you just buy some soap? Like, I'm always buying the soap here, and I'm like, I buy the refill bottles. It's like I just fill the bottle up, like, but she doesn't see that. She just sees this bottle that lasts for ages, and then she brought some new ones, and like, that triggered me massively. So we ended up having a big blow about that. And then when we're in bed later and we're pulling that apart, like, why did this happen? I'm like it's just because I've always get triggered when someone insinuates I don't pay my own way. Like, it makes me feel uncomfortable. And she's like, why is that? This is Phoebe coming in and working a little unconscious magic to me. And she's like, why is that? Why do you think that is? And I'm like, I don't know. So I started looking at it, and I had this moment, man, where I had flashback after flashback after flashback of every time through childhood when I got exposed to people or friends that I come from a house with like very little money, and the shame, like embarrassment that come with that, like not being able to pay to go to a school camp and all these other things, and like not bringing like paperwork home from school saying that mum needed to pay for something and paying for myself, that sort of thing. So it was just flashback. I was like, boom, 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 memory. I was like, wow. Like, so that there is an explanation of like me not wanting to ever be perceived as that I don't have any money. You know, like that, trying to create the persona, like you don't have to pay things for me because I pay for myself because I have my own money, sort of thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, wow, like I understand that. Like it was just crazy that it took that experience of a $1.30 bottle of hand soap and Phoebe asking me, why do you think you even react like that, to go, oh, like I just knew I reacted like that for years, but now I understand why. After it was intense, man. Like just the emotion that come over my body, and I was just like, oh. And then I just recently listened to a book called Letting Go, like it was by David Hawkins, called like The Art of Surrender, and I just like felt it, acknowledged it, and then let it go. Like you just let it go, just feel it and let it go. And I was like,
Yeah.
and she was like, I was sitting there like crying, and I was just like, just surrender as I going through all of them. Like everyone, feel that emotion, surrender, feel it, surrender, every flashback, just keep letting it go. And she was just like lying there, and I was like, you all right? Do you want a hug? You know, I'm just like, all right. Just sort of going through the process of it. But
I love how aware you are of these things, and you can just like nip them in the butt as soon as they come. That's so impressive.
Some of them take it a few times, man. Like it's like even though the Letting Go book talks about it, it's just sometimes you have to do it again and again until, because it's sometimes they're buried pretty deep, man. Like you know, but it does. I mean, men don't develop front part of their brain properly until we're like late 20s. That's why, you know, you always find older men. Partly the reason, I guess, older men can get with a younger female and it work maturely and emotionally, because they're ahead of us in developing that part of their brain. They can foresee and use that front part of their brain a little bit better than us.
Yeah,
that's
right. Wow.
Their ability to see consequences are stronger than ours. They come in a bit earlier, which is why guys make stupid mistakes when they're younger more than females.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm only 21.
Yeah, man. So
nowhere near developing yet.
Yeah, that's why I think you're ahead of the ball, man. Like, you know, it's easy to even have these type of conversations, man. It's so impressive. Like, it's so impressive.
Thanks, man.
You've definitely done some leaps and hurdles, man. I didn't even start training when I was at your age, man. I was like, I wish I could find a photo, like I had a head full of dreads, probably about 50 kilos lighter.
Yeah, wow.
Just tall, lanky, and just
Yeah.
thought I was living a dream, but I was probably living in a world of hate and hurt. And
Yeah. Training wise then, how's that going right now? What are you doing?
It's good, man. It's
Yeah.
good. I enjoy training. I actually trained with a guy yesterday, and he sort of brought up to me, he goes, you quantify all these aspects of your life, like, you know, measure all these things, because but you don't follow a training program. And I was just like, I like training. Like I like going in there and intuitively training.
Yeah.
Like going in there, being creative and just hurting my body. You know, and just
Yeah.
I gave training programming a go for a little while, but it just, I don't know, it took away a lot of the parts of it I love, like training with people, training what I feel like training, when I feel like training it. Like sometimes I feel like doing legs 2 times a week, sometimes I don't. Like,
Yeah, I'm very similar. I followed a program for a while, but I find I get so much more out of just going in there and thinking what feels like it needs to be done next.
yeah,
I enjoy that a lot more.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's. I mean, there is a little bit of battle of like not trying to choose what you like too much and just doing what you should need to do. I mean, I know I need to do single leg stuff a lot more than just double leg stuff when it comes to legs, just for like balance. And I hate doing it. It makes me feel like I'm gonna vomit, but I'll do it every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We like Phoebe's she loves following training program, but she follows it like a boss, man. Like,
Yeah.
she trains better than like 99.9% of guys I know.
Yeah. Yeah, she's incredible, man.
Yeah, like I always say, I've said to her, she's funny because in the beginning of her relationship, I wanted to train with her so bad, man, but she didn't want to train with me because like I criticised other people's form so much, so she was scared that I was going to be doing hers, and then she hated training in the gym at the same time as me. But really, I just wanted to like pervert her.
Yeah.
And then she just, I don't know, like she trains so it's like poetry in motion, man. Watching her train, it's almost like robotic. Like every rep is the same as the one before, and I'm just like, man, it's just
She's a machine. I'd love to do a podcast with her eventually.
Yeah, she's good.
Yeah,
She's good, man.
that'd be awesome.
Where are you going this year?
Where am I going?
Yeah. What's your plans? Have you written down?
I haven't written anything down, but I know in my head. I know it sounds like I'm just being lazy and don't want to write things down, but it's just all up there in my head. I'm like, this is a year of growth. This is a year of so much personal development.
Yeah.
Like, I'm willing to sacrifice spending a bit more money than I usually would have in life, just to really get the experiences that I need.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly think you've got. I don't know where you're gonna go, but like I'm so excited to watch the journey, man. Like,
thank you, man. Thank you.
You've got I don't know. You've got something special. It's gonna be cool, and I'm glad I get to come along for the ride.
Yeah. I'm so stoked. It's because of people like you that I am in where I am right now, developmentally and as a person. It's because of you. Like, stumbling across you in the gym, like you giving me a compliment like that, and then it's people like you that have made me who I am today. Being
back at you.
Yeah, I have so many. I feel as though I have a lot of father/brother figures in my life.
Yeah.
And because growing up, that wasn't so much there. I'm appreciating it so much now.
Yeah. I don't like the word envy or jealous because but I don't know what another word of saying it, but like I guess I envy that a little bit aspect of it. But like in the day, in saying that would be for me to say that I didn't enjoy my own journey.
Yeah.
And like, I just think it's awesome, like that it is, and I think it's cool that there's a lot of the work. Like I was talking to Reno about this today actually, and how when we were speaking about you, and I was just bringing up how I'd never had those type of conversations or these type of conversations when I was that young, and that I didn't even think they were even possible. But I also think that the generations are having to level up a lot faster because the world when I was your age was a lot simpler. Like, and that sounds like a very old man thing to say, but it was a lot simpler. Like, there was no social media. Like, if I wanted to go see a mate, I'd ring him on my cell phone or text him, and then I'd go there. Like, you would stop by someone's workshop on their way home, see if they're working on their car, go in. Like, it was very simple. When now there's so much screwing up everyone's heads, man. It's like the world is harder, which means everyone is having to level up a lot faster. Which is going to be interesting to see whether it's a good or a bad thing. But I think it's good for the people that are making it good and choose to make it good. And that was honestly one of the. Oh man, I reckon I could write a fucking book on the lessons I've learned through our relationship. Like the best one was like that. Everything that shit happens, something better is going to come out of it. Because everything that is shit has happened in our relationship, and there's been a lot of shitty things. It has made us so much better. Like even through last year when all that that drug and some other shit happened, it was as much as she said the relationship was over and that she wanted to be on her own, and that those were the words, and I went through a period of mourning and I accepted that. There was a part of me that still kind of thought that this was just going to make us better, and I think it has. I feel like it feels cool because now I feel safe to talk to her about stuff when I'm struggling, and she likes the fact that I can speak to her when I'm struggling, and which isn't too often, but it's just nice to feel like we just feel a lot safer around each other. Because I know her demons, she knows mine. She probably knows me more better than anyone, even though I talk a lot about my shit to everyone. But and yeah, just our communication level lines have just got that much clearer around, you know, what we want, what we don't want, what our boundaries are, and you know, and it's only getting better. Like, so
Yeah, that's awesome.
she's laid down some like laws and rules, or not. No, I don't even like those words, but you know, what's kind of needed in the future for our relationship to survive. And it's the same, you know, I've said my what I need, and now we like, is it most of the time if the other person doesn't know, how can they, you know, how can it change?
Yeah.
And most people are scared to say what they want and need in a relationship, which is the dangerous part, because if you not getting what you want and need, then you start resenting, and resentment like is the monster that eats love.
Wow. And I'm sorry if I haven't really said a whole lot. I just, you know, as much as I do love talking about this stuff, I still get taken back because I'm just like taking it all in, because I learn so much from you, and I know that there's going to be so much just gold like information here. So
Yeah.
I'm kind of just, I want to be saying more, but I'm kind of just taking it on just like everyone else will be. So
Oh, I'm sorry if I spoke to you.
no, it's been
Yeah.
perfect, man.
Yeah.
This is exactly what I wanted, and exactly what I wanted people to get out of it. How about for you? What's coming this year? I'm just waiting for that big thing to happen for you, because I don't mean to put pressure on you, but there is so much potential there. I don't really like to use the word potential so much, because it's like kind of saying that you're
Since
not.
you're using it,
Yeah. But man, you are something else. Like,
well, this is my biggest demon, bro, and it comes back to like the drug thing as well. Like, I'd be real careful how I word, because I know every time I say something around this sort of subject, I'm either like reaffirming it or talking about it in past tense. So, but you know, everyone has their demon or their issue or their unserving belief, and my one has been in the past that I've never been able to see myself succeeding. And you know, if you can't see it, you can't reverse engineer it. Like, you can't manifest it, and you can't, like, you know, law of attraction. Like, if you see failure, you bring failure, and that has been an unconscious belief of mine for a long time, where I sort of don't let myself, you know, move forward. And that's where I'm at now. So it's just plowing through that and trying to learn how to dream. Yeah, that's the way of putting it.
that's awesome, man. I think that's a great spot to finish up.
Dude.
I'll just finish by saying thank you so much again, man. So much love and admiration for you and everything you've brought into my life. So thank you for doing this. I'm so excited for everything that everyone else is going to hear from you. And thank you so much, man.
Thanks, bro. Thanks for having me on.